Welcome back, guys. So today let's talk about No Time to Die, which is the newest James Bond movie starring Daniel Craig and the last film starring Daniel Craig. And he has said that this is his last James Bond film. So I was excited for this one because I do really like the James Bond films. I've got the whole box set down there somewhere. I think it's off camera. I don't think you can see it. But James Bond, the franchise as a whole, I haven't watched all of them like a million times. I've only watched them a couple times each, but I really enjoy almost all of them. Like I think they're all entertaining, all fun, something of value. And Daniel Craig in particular is one of my favorite James Bonds. Even though he has some movies that aren't like the best ones, but you could say that about most of the James Bonds, where like they have some that they're not as great. But Daniel Craig, though, really is one of my favorites. Probably after Sean Connery. Sean Connery or Daniel Craig are my favorites, one of the two. I can't really decide. I really like both of them a lot. But looking at this one, the story of this is that James Bond and Madeline are still together after the last movie, and something happens to where there is a new villain played by Rami Malek who is trying to, like, James Bond is trying to find the mystery of what's going on. And I'm trying to be vague here, and that didn't really make sense after, in retrospect, after I just said that. But the plot is a mystery, like the James Bond movies. Like this is just a mystery of him trying to solve who the villain is. Blah blah blah. So I'll get this out of the way and say that I think that while I did like this movie, like I did like it a lot. I liked how it was almost 3 hours long and I did not feel the length. I actually was pretty entertained throughout. I was pretty entertained, but it's weird because this movie it's so James Bond that in the whole scheme of James Bond movies, the the movie might not be the one that I remember that well, and that's really weird to say. Um, I'll remember it for the ending, which I won't give away. The ending really felt like an ending. The ending was an ending you haven't gotten a James Bond movie before, and I actually really liked that. I thought that was awesome. But the rest of the movie is good, but it's just feels like typical James Bond in the way where it's one that I'm not gonna remember. Like in terms of like the action sequences and in terms of the story, it feels like this is one of the lesser ones in terms of that I'm gonna remember. In terms of entertainment value, it was still good, but I definitely don't feel like I'll remember the whole movie as opposed to the ending, which the ending is really what makes the movie. And also, Rami Malek as a villain was really intriguing because he starts out, this villain starts out in the movie with a creepy mask that looks like a Giallo mask from like the 70s. And it was like a horror movie at the beginning. It was awesome. But Rami Malek is a great actor, but it's weird. Like, I liked his performance, but I feel like again, like the plot of this, I feel like Rami Malek, I'm gonna kind of just forget about in terms of all the Bond villains in the grand scheme of things. Like I remember Christoph Waltz more. I remember Javier Bardem more. In terms of Daniel Craig's villains, and I'll remember them more than Rami Malek, who I like I said is a great actor, but I feel like he was kind of underused and not in the way you're thinking. Like he was used enough in the movie, but underused in the way with a performance that I'm not going to remember. And it's from an actor that's really good. So it's weird. Like I said, the performance isn't bad at all. It's still fine. It's still good. But again, I'm just going to kind of forget about it. Like I forgot about the story of this one. Besides the ending, the ending really, really sells the movie. And that's the biggest praise I can give it. And also, Daniel Craig is a really, really fantastic as James Bond. And this one, he says it's his last James Bond movie. So, of course, he gave it his all. And I think he really gives off the most emotion out of a James Bond in this movie, like overall, out of all the movies. And that's awesome. You also get Ana de Armas as well, who's really, really famous right now. She was in Knives Out. She was in Knock Knock, that 2014 movie with Keanu Reeves. She's in a lot of stuff, but she's awesome in the movie, and I wish she was in it more. She's kind of like a side character that he meets and joins for a while, but I wish that we could have seen her more because I really like her as an actress and think she's awesome. So I wish I could have seen more of her, but despite that, that was fine. Like despite her not being in that much, and also you've got the other characters that have been in the other ones. You've got M, Ray Fiennes, and then you got Q. I don't know the guy's name who plays Q, but they're still good. Naomi Harris is in it still, and she's still good. I liked Madeline a lot, like I did from the last one. That's awesome that she's back. That's awesome that they kept this character as well as Christoph Waltz, because you've seen Christoph Waltz in the trailer. That's cool that they kept them in the movie as well, and like from the last movie. Like I like how they're continuing on because the Daniel Craig ones, correct me if I'm wrong, are the only ones that really have a throughput like connection because like Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace like connect, and I think Skyfall kind of does too, but it's like Quantum of Solace is like directly after Casino Royale, I believe, and this one is, I don't know about directly after Spectre. I can't remember Spectre that well. I remember liking it, but it's some time after that, and it's still got these characters connected. So it's story thread wise, the Daniel Craig ones I think keep the most like connections from what I remember from all the movies. So it's cool with that. Um, so like I said, I think that it is a James Bond movie that I liked a lot, specifically for the ending. But the rest of the movie is good. It's just not one that I'm gonna remember the most out of all the films. But the ending really sells it. That's the reason to see the movie. And if you see the ending, you know exactly what I'm talking about because it really works, really great. And Daniel Craig's last outing is awesome as James Bond. Love him as James Bond. That's so great that he got to make five. Is it five movies? Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, Spectre. This one. Okay, yeah. So he didn't do five, which is great because he's awesome. Love Daniel Craig. But yeah, I thought this was a fun time with the movies. I enjoyed it. Like not the best James Bond overall, but it has it might have the best ending, one of the best. But the whole movie overall is still all right. Like it's still serviceable, it's still fine, it's still funny, it's still entertaining. But the ending really makes it. Um, Pretty much that's all I could say. I enjoyed it. It was a fun time with the movies. So had to take a break from 31 Days of Horror. Of course, I was going to see this one because I've seen all the other James Bond movies, but got more 31 Days of Horror coming up. Next up is Evil Bong, which sounds ridiculous, but I'm going to watch it for 31 days. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.